morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The opposite of the smart board. Very good. So it's 9:11, and I would like to call to order the meeting of the Building and Operating Committee of January 22nd, 2026. But before we begin, please note that this meeting is being recorded, and welcome to everyone who is joining us here in person, as well as those listening in on the phone. If you would like to provide public comment at today's meeting, and if you have not already done so, please let Thomas in the back of the room or Justine on the call line know that what items you would like to speak to today. Madam Secretary, please begin by calling the roll.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Starting with Director Devlin.
Here.
Judith Shea is absent. Maston is absent. Parr is absent. Rabbit.
Here.
Vice Chair Rodoni.
Here.
Chair Garbarino.
Here.
And President Cochran.
Here.
Thank you. You're not a committee of whole. You have a quorum. Also in the room, we have Directors Fernandez and Hill.
Thank you, and still kind of waiting. Thank you, dear Amoret. Please follow along by referring to the page numbers located on the bottom right-hand corner of your meeting packet today. We will begin with agenda item number 3, which is to approve actions relative to project number 2443, San Francisco Ferry Terminal West and East Berth Rehabilitation. The report, again, begins on page 3, and John is here. Hello, John, to present the report. Go right ahead.
Morning, Chair Garbarino, members of the committee. I'm here this morning to recommend that the Building and Operating Committee recommend that the Board of Directors approve the following actions relative to project number 2443, San Francisco Ferry Terminal West and East Berth Rehabilitation. First, to authorize execution of the Sixth Amendment to Professional Services Agreement number 2021 F49, San Francisco Ferry Terminal West and East Berth Ramp Rehabilitation with Moffett and Nichol, Walnut Creek, in an amount not to exceed $209,200 for continuation of construction engineering support services for the ramp rehabilitation at the West and East Berth at San Francisco Ferry Terminal, and to authorize an increase in the amount of $1,125,856 in the fiscal year 25-26 Ferry Division capital budget relative to project 2443 to finance contract administration, construction engineering by district engineering staff and its consultant through approximately January of 2027. Be funded with district reserves for a revised total project budget of $12,528,140. So project 2443, that's the rehabilitation of both the West and East berths in San Francisco, was initiated when we found some cracks on both East and West berths. That was back in 2021, and both of those ramps were shut down temporarily while investigations were done, and then some rehabilitation was done. And the West ramp was determined to be, we could do the repairs in place to the cracks. The East berth was much more extensive, and we put this contract together in 2443. So in October of 2024, the board authorized award of the construction contract, 2024 F10 San Francisco Ferry Terminal West and East Berth Ramp Rehabilitation to Manson Construction in the amount of $7,915,000 to perform the repairs. And at that same meeting, the board authorized the Fifth Amendment to PSA 2021 F49 with Moffett and Nichol in the amount of $433,440 for the construction engineering support services during construction. So construction entails primarily removing the whole East berth to an offsite facility, performing sandblasting. We had identified in place a number of cracks and structural repairs that had to be done, but after it was brought to the offsite facility and sandblasted, a number of other areas which required rehabilitation were found. So those required investigations. Then you had to determine how to do the repairs, how to do the structural repairs, and then further inspections on that. So that was with the ramp. In addition, the cylinders themselves, the hydraulic cylinders, were removed and disassembled. And after they were disassembled, we found some additional repair work that needed to be performed on that, and that had to be investigated. And the concrete repairs at the terminal itself, once we got some platforms in place and started doing chipping investigation, there was some additional deterioration, concrete falling, reinforcing that had to be repaired. So all of this, beyond the original scope of services for the consultant, and there were a number of additional RFIs, submittals, et cetera, that had to be investigated, and all of that resulted in the budget that was established for the Fifth Amendment almost being exceeded. So in addition to that, in October, board authorized a change order to the project. There's a CAMEL system out there, CAMEL structure, which we found to be deteriorated, and that has been added to the scope of the project, and that's going to require both additional construction administration, but also construction engineering services. Also, it's extending the contract beyond the original contemplated date to approximately January of 2027. So as a result of this additional work, which was found to be necessary that needed to be completed, we've determined that we're going to exceed our budget for staff costs and also for the consultant preparing services. We evaluated that what it's going to take, and for the next 12 months, till January 2027, we'll have approximately the same level of effort for engineering staff that we've had the previous months, and the consultant services, we feel that there'll be a little lesser effort needed for them. So we requested cost proposals from the consultant for the additional services. Consultant Moffitt and Nickel provided a cost estimate in the amount of $209,200 to perform the additional work. Engineering staff reviewed that proposal and found it to be fair and reasonable in terms of their budgeted labor hours for the additional scope, and consistent with their audited and overhead billing rates. The district manager of small business enterprise compliance programs reviewed the work under the Sixth Amendment and determined that small business participation is not anticipated during the performance of this work. Moffitt and Nickel will be compensated for actual time expended and expenses incurred, plus a fixed fee for the not to exceed amount. And the account of the previously approved proposed amendments to the PSA are presented in the report in Table 2. So we'll be monitoring both the contractors' work. We're hoping that the work will not exceed the January 2027 date. We're at this point, it is a year away, but we're looking at their schedule, and we believe that it will not exceed that. But if it does, we'll make a report later in the calendar year 2026 report our findings on that. So with that, engineering staff recommend that the Building and Operating Committee recommend and the Board of Directors authorize execution of the Sixth Amendment, PSA number 2021 F49, as presented in this report, in a not to exceed amount of $209,200 for continuation of the construction and support services, and authorize an increase in the amount of $1,125,856 the fiscal year 25-26 Ferry Division capital budget for project 2443 to be funded with district reserves. This project is currently in this year's Ferry Division capital budget at $11,402,284, and it is funded 55% with State of California State of Good Repair program funds and 45% with district funds, and that will remain with this increase. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have on my report.
I'll just add one thing for context, because that was a great presentation. This is not a new facility. If you go visit the facility, architecture, you'll notice that it harkens back to a different era. The Embarcadero Freeway was relatively new when this facility was constructed. The Embarcadero Freeway hasn't existed for a long time. And when this was built, architecturally, it was acclaimed. adjacent to the double deck Embarcadero Freeway. So it's an aged facility. It's in excess of 50 years young, and it's on the edge of San Francisco Bay. It's above the water. It's in a harsh environment. And so it's not surprising after such a long time that we don't need to make an investment just to maintain what we have until we have some project that comes along and does more significant improvements. It's also important to note that we don't own the land at this facility. We have a 66-year lease with the Port of San Francisco for the facility. Those that went before us, though, had the wisdom to capitalize the present worth value of a 66-year lease and use grants from the predecessor of the Federal Transit Administration to do a lump sum payment. So we don't have to pay monthly rent to the port for the two berths that John talked about. But it's an old facility. The fact that FTA didn't exist as FTA back then, it was called UMTA, the Urban Mass Transportation Association, gives you a sense of the age of the facility. So I just thought that'd be good context that we're not talking about something that was, built a decade ago.
Thank you. That was a wonderful report. Thank you, John. And you sound terrible. Sorry, personal comment. We could up your next item so you could go home and go to bed. Poor guy. Any other questions or comments? Yes, go ahead, David.
Yeah, John, you're looking good. Cracks sound pretty ominous, and I'm just, were the cracks in the, were they structurally? Apparently they're structured because they're metal, right? But were they part of the ramps? And I guess my question is, what precautions have we taken or what work has been done to make sure that those cracks don't reappear in the future?
Yes.
If we don't replace more.
No, great. Because we had to, we wanted to investigate why are there cracks here? Where do they come from? So when they are in all the structural elements. So the ramp itself is a steel frame. There's like W14 by 36 are the primary members, and then there's some other smaller framing, W12s, et cetera. And then there's also underneath the ramp, there's a maintenance bay where there's equipment that's in there. And these ramps, if you've ever been out there, are on a skew from the pier itself, which is a very strange configuration. So when the way that this operates is the hydraulic cylinders, which are on the water side, you have a hinge on the land side. So the hydraulic cylinders go up and down. And when they were originally built, there was a mechanism in there to make sure that when it does raise, the right and left cylinders raise simultaneously and don't get out of alignment. That has gone away, and we were using other methods to make sure that the ramp was going up and down level on both the left and right side. Part of this project is to put in a new system so that the ramps do go up, rise, and lower level, and not rely on some other system. So we found that was probably one of the main reasons why there were these cracks. It was the skew. The hydraulic system wasn't operating properly. There was a little bit of impact coming off the camel and then onto the ramp itself, but it was primarily, we built a hydraulic system, which is part of this project. So we also have put in place an inspection program where we go out. So we did the West facility, and that's been operating now for a while. We go out and inspect that, which we weren't doing before. We do that on a new frequency to see if we are getting any cracks from it. So that's what we've put in place, and with this new hydraulic system, that should ensure that we don't see this again.
Thank you, John. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Welcome. Anyone else? Any questions or concerns? That concludes then our discussion on item number 3. But before we take our vote, is there anyone from the public wishing to speak?
We have no speakers on the sign up.
Thank you once again. May I have a motion on agenda item number 3, please?
So moved, Rabbit.
Second.
Great. Thank you, Madam Secretary. Roll call vote.
Thank you. We're not a committee of the whole, so this is just going to be the committee vote. So I'm going to start with Director Devlin.
Aye.
Director Giudice is absent. Masson is absent. Parr.
Aye.
Rabbit.
Aye.
Vice Chair Rodoni.
Aye.
And Chair Garbarino.
Aye.
And President Cochran.
Yes.
Thank you. That vote unanimous, opposed, present.
Once again. We'll continue now on to item number 4, which is an informational monthly report from board appointees on the Sonoma Marin Area Rail Transit Board. And I'll start the report off with both of you, or either one of you.
I have notes.
Okay, cool.
I do apologize for the lateness. I hope the traffic doesn't stop before it gets on the bridge, because it's robust today. The general manager's report is pretty down and dirty and positive. We keep adding people to our train. I coincidentally, on the way here this morning, I got a text from Kerry Witt, who is our former bridge manager, and he said, "I'm on your train." And I said, "Oh, good, I wish I were." And he said that it was packed. It was packed with students and people going into San Francisco, and that he was going to catch the ferry. So that's sort of a contemporary, yes, we're doing well. There's not much going on, but the most exciting thing was that we qualified the SMART initiative to continue the tax. It was impressive. Maybe one of you have the actual numbers, but it was something like we managed to get almost 20% more signatures than we needed to put it on the ballot. And when you all know that when you're going for an election, that's a good sign, because that means that people were supporting it. So we have to thank Suzanne from Marin County, Sonoma County. You'll do that part, from Sonoma County Transit, because she and the current chair of the North Bay Leadership Council spearheaded that. I'll let the rest of you.
Cool, great.
Ridership
Thanks, Barb.
stuff. Everybody's happy.
Love it. Yeah.
Just mentioned, OE3, Mike Pickens, was part of that with, Joanne, from
Webster,
Webster from North Bay Leadership. So thanking them for going in that direction. Obviously, as I said yesterday, not to be Debbie Downer, but, you know, collecting the signatures is wonderful. Of course, that means you still have an election in front of you that you have to win. But we're optimistic, and I think we still have a lot of work to do, but look forward to passing that. There was some other additional information regarding some of the work going on in some of the bridges that handle freight to the east of the
David
main
likes
line.
the bridges. He likes the engineering.
The 3 freight customers are all in my district and all in Petaluma. 2 poultry, feeds places that are hurting because of the avian flu and all the other financial reasons. And then Lagunitas, who's not hurting, but wants to make sure that they can continue to make beer. And obviously, we all support the freight aspect of SMART because it's so environmentally superior than trucking. But the deterioration and the lack of, or the deferred maintenance on some of the old infrastructure to the east is always a challenge as well.
I know, it's got a Chevy engine, right?
Oh, that was fine. Yeah,
I've been.
oh, really? Wow.
Well, I'll just finish up those wonderful reports. Yeah, Bert, go ahead.
Yeah, just for curiosity, are they changing by generations, more younger people than older people, or is it just?
Well, we tend to get young people and old people because we let them ride for free. So the answer to that is yes. Carrie texted me that the cars were full and they were full of students. And I said to myself, I think that's great, because once you get the students accustomed to riding the train instead of getting in their cars,
Yeah.
I think the longevity for the ridership is there.
That's where I was going.
Yes.
Is there any other questions? I'll just add to their wonderful report a couple of minor details. Yes, ridership is up 40% over December of 2024. Pathway usage is up 35% over 2024. The Smart Connect, the little band thing, has hit 2,100 monthly riders. So that's all good. That's at the Larkspur Ferry, but also at the airport in Santa Rosa. We talked about this. Highlighted Christmas. We were closed. However, a tree fell on the line, so a bunch of good souls had to work at Christmas time to take it off. That new voter-led initiative will be called Safe, Modern, Accessible Rail Transit, or SMART, once again. And the thrust, apparently, that really got people to sign the petition was no increase in taxes. So that helped, and there is a bit of money left over from that on the next draw. So there you have it.
And there's also a committee that was formed to get people on the Citizens Advisory Committee. So if you're from Sonoma and Marin and have people that you think would be good for that, send their names to SMART, and our committee will take care of that.
So that concludes the discussion on item number 4. But before we move on, is there anyone from the public wanting to speak on this item?
The speakers for this item.
No action is required, as you know, so we'll continue on to item number 5, which is the status report on engineering projects that begins on page 13, and John will present that report.
Good morning again, Sheriff Reno, members of the committee. My written report is before you. I'd like to bring your attention, though, to a few items. First, with regard to the Golden Gate Seismic Retrofit Project, contractor Hallmark is preparing and submitting their work plans for the preliminary work that must be submitted prior to commencing field work. So they are progressing with that. They've also submitted their subcontracting contracts with their painter, Champion Painting, their traffic control, Western Traffic Control, and Bayline Cutting, speed and coring and saw cutting work, and then Safeway and SafeSpan, which will be assisting them with their temporary access platform. So they are moving along on that. The SDS contractor has finally completed removal of all of its remaining temporary access platform and completed night work. There will be no more nighttime closures for the SDS project, so that's great. They're also continuing their demobilization. They will be off-site at the end of this month, January, and then they'll be focusing on the travelers. With regard to our San Rafael bus facility, PG&E has again canceled their scheduled installation of a new transformer, trying to get them to reschedule it. This is the third time that they have canceled this, so we're waiting for them so we can finish that project. At the Larkspur Ferry Terminal, the contractor has reinstalled the Berth 1 gangway, so that is back in operation. And the Berth 2 gangway, there's 2 gangways on that facility. One has been reinstalled, and the other one is now taken out and at the shop for rehabilitation. So now with regard to the Bruce Electrical project. So we've been working on this for a while, and we requested pricing from 2 different electrical contractors. December 23rd, we received one. The other one declined, but it wasn't right at this time. I've since found out that they just received an award of a huge AI data center project, like $1 billion project. They decided not to work on our project. There is a lot of that work going on right now. Anyway, we received the pricing a little bit higher than we anticipated. But it is a time and material project, so it will be, they had contingencies for a lot of the temporary access. At the North Tower in particular, the equipment has to go down on the bottom cord, which our forces are actually constructing the platform for. There's 25 feet below the sidewalk. They have to develop their own access to get down there, and then put in conduit and a number of other supports for that work. So that is one of the main drivers. Mid-span, there's similar activities that will be requiring some temporary access. And then also when they are running the conduit and cabling on the sidewalk itself, they have to coordinate that with our bridge patrons, the public, and there'll be some night work involved also. So all that contributed to the pricing. We will be issuing the notice to proceed first of next week. It'll take them probably a month or 2 to get all their work plans done, and we'll start the work. The work's anticipated to take about 90 days, and then this will be the interim until we get the long-term facilities in place. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have in the rest of my report.
Thank you, John. Any questions, colleagues? Any discussion? Okay, no action is required on this item. Is there anyone from the public wishing to speak on this item?
We have no speakers for this item, but I'd like to double check with Justine to see if there's anybody who wants to speak under public comment period.
Perfect.
Good morning. We have no speakers for B&O this morning.
All right, thanks for confirming. No speakers for the committee or for the item.
Great, thank you again. We've reached the end of our agenda. May I have a motion to adjourn this meeting? So comfortable. Now that you're all here, do we have a motion?
There was a motion in there. I'll second.
Oh, perfect, okay.
Motion with second.
Hearing,
To end.
practically nothing, and no objections either. This concludes the meeting of the Building and Operating Committee. Thank you, colleagues. The time is 9:30.